Welcome back. In this video, we will show how to create a trophies panel and a console panel where we will display the actions of the user. Okay, let's get to it. First of all, let's create a new empty object in the canvas. Let's call it bottom horizontal layout. Perfect. Let's press F. Okay, this right there, but we don't want it to be right there. We want it to be here at the bottom. Here. Yes. And maybe we move the normal horizontal layout a bit more to the top. So, perfect. Now we want to add a horizontal layout group here. Perfect. And set middle center. Yes. Okay, now I want you to copy this gather and cell panel and paste it inside this bottom horizontal layout. Perfect. It's not inside. Now it's inside. Perfect. One trick we can do. Okay, by the way, we can rename this to let's call it trophy bar panel. Perfect. We are not going to need none of this actually. So we can delete all of that. One thing we want to do is to edit this background, right? Because at the moment it doesn't make sense. So one trick is to put this middle left. Okay, this go to the left. And now we can easily set this to the middle. Okay, perfect. Now let's press F. Okay, looks good. Perfect. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, I want first to create a UI text. Let's call this header text. And this is going to be trophies. Perfect. We use the font that we have. This one. Perfect. And now we want to have this at the top. Something like that. And we put here in the middle. And maybe we can, oops, sorry, this in the middle. And we can maybe move this down a bit. Perfect. Okay. That's it for now. Great. Let's create now another panel for our console. Copy and paste this previous panel. And let's rename this to action log panel. Yes. For the action log panel, I don't think we will need any header, but we will change a bit the background color. So it's something like that, like grayish. Perfect. Okay, cool. All right. That's it for now. We will be we'll be focusing now on the trophy bar panel. One last thing we want to do before we go to the script is to anchor the bottom horizontal layout. So right now it's in the center, but we want to press Ctrl Alt. Okay, press Ctrl Alt and then put it at center bottom here. Perfect. Okay, let's go now to the script. Okay, first thing we want to do is to go to the assets, scripts folder. And because the script that we're going to build is very much like the boss manager, we're going to duplicate it. Let's rename it to trophy bar manager. Okay, let's get inside and let's rename it here to trophy bar manager. Perfect. In terms of fields, we're going to need the game controller, we're going to need the items root, and we're going to need a prefab, but it's not going to be the boss prefab. It's going to be the trophy item prefab that we will create later. Perfect. We are going to need bosses list here, list of scriptable objects. We're going to need that. But we are also going to need another list, but this time of text. Okay, so that one is going to be Text Mesh Pro UI list, and let's call this labels. Okay, the star method, we're going to need it, but the build list, we are going to change it completely. We can remove it. First thing is we need to do is to specify the length of labels. So we can say labels, new, exactly, Text Mesh Pro bosses length, because we wanted to have the length of the bosses field here. Okay, we're going to see later why. So we need to actually iterate like we were doing before with for each, but this time we're going to use the for loop. Okay, so we can say exactly that. So we can say now we can say bar boss bosses I. Okay, so this is the boss for this iteration. If there is no boss, we continue to go to the next iteration. Okay, but if there are, then we do bar game object. We can say item, because this is going to be the trophy prefab is going to be instantiated inside the items root. Okay, similar as we did in the previous videos. Okay, and now we need the label because we won't have a button here. We can say label, we can say gain object, and then we get the text mesh pro from one of the children of this prefab. We will see later. And then last thing we have to do is to assign this label to the labels field that we define above. So we can say labels I, we can say label. Perfect. Oops. So with that, we're saying, okay, the label for the boss, for the, let's say, boss number 0 is going to be stored on the labels field position 0. Okay, so there will be a one-on-one relation between the index of the boss and the index of the label. Okay, so the boss for the index 0, for example, will be stored in labels index 0. Okay. One thing we have to do is to call here to a function that we're going to create, which is going to be called update label, and we're going to pass the index. Perfect. Let's create now this function. Update label, yes, int index. Perfect. We first get the boss like that. Oops. We don't want that. But we can get the boss. Perfect. And then if there is no boss, then we return, right? Because there is nothing to do. But if there is a boss, first thing we need to do is to get the number of trophies for that boss, right? And if you remember, in game controller, you can go here, there is a function called, oh, I don't think we have the function yet. Okay, then we will create it, no worries. We can go back to the trophy bar manager. Okay, we can, first we need to do is to get the count, okay, the number of trophies. We can say game controller. No, in controller, we will have a new function which is get trophy count boss. Perfect. And once we have the count, what we'll need is to set the label. So we say, we'll say labels for the index, okay, that we're passing, text, and then we say boss display name, x count, how much count it has, okay, and then we can say in parentheses, we can say boss trophy bonus would bonus would per second. Yes, perfect. And remove that. Yes. Okay. Yes, this should work. Let's create now this function. All right, let's go now to game controller and let's create this new function called, going to be public because it needs to be called by the other from the other script. We can say public int get trophy count. Perfect. We pass the boss. And then we say, yeah, very much that. If the trophy count contains the boss as a key, then return the counts boss, okay? But what happens if the trophy count doesn't contain boss as a key? Then we need to return 0 instead, okay? What's trophy counts? Let's go and refresh our memories. So trophy counts is a dictionary which has as a key the boss scriptable object and as a value the number of trophies for that boss, okay? So in the function that we just created, if the boss exists in the trophy counts, then we return the number of trophies. If not, we return 0. Okay. Now if we return to trophy bar manager, now yes, now the function is found. One last thing we have to do in the trophy bar manager is to create an update method because we want basically to update the trophy bar constantly. So every time the player defeats a new boss and gets a new trophy, we want, of course, to update the trophy bar, right? So for that, we can say a private void update, okay? And we can say for the length of, no, this is wrong. So we can say I0, this time here we want to say labels, length, okay? So for each label in the labels field, we want to update label. Okay, so this will constantly update labels after we something happens in our games. For example, the player defeats one boss or something like that. And let's see what update labels does. So update labels simply check the trophy count and update the label. Okay, so this will make our trophy bar constantly updated. Okay, because it's every frame, the update function will be called, and the update label will be called for every label inside the labels field. Okay. Let's now go back to Unity and let's, in the trophy bar panel, let's assign the trophy bar manager script. Okay, perfect. Let's now wire up some references. So game controller goes here, game controller. We are going to actually, this thing we forgot, we need to create a few more things, right? We need to create the items root and we need to create the trophy item prefab. Let's do that. Let's start by the items root. If we check other panels, we're going to follow the same approach. We're going to create an items root, and then the items, in this case the trophies, will be inserted there at runtime. Okay, so let's actually, let's create a new, create empty. Let's call it items root. And then let's assign a horizontal layout group because we want the items to be neatly positioned, automatically displayed. So we can set the spacing to 8, for example. Perfect. And now another thing we have to do is to create our prefab. Okay. So we can do the following. We can actually take one of the prefabs we have. In this case, actually these are buttons, so we don't want that. Okay, let's maybe create a new one. So right click on the hierarchy, we can say UI text. Okay, here, let's call it trophy item prefab. Let me see if we call prefab to, no, so only item. Perfect. So let's then be consistent here. Let's call it trophy item. Okay, this is going to be just a text. Okay, a text that's going to have, let's say, for example, going to be something like dragon scale x10, for example, and then we can say it's going to be here 1000 root per sec. Going to be something like that. Okay, so we can say, for example, font size is going to be 22. We can say that it's actually going to be the alignment will be center. Important thing, we want to update the font, right? So we want to use the font we use in all places. Okay, let's save this prefab for now. We might update it later, but for the time being it's fine. We drag and drop the trophy item to here, to our prefabs folder. Perfect. Now we can delete it from here. All right. Okay, so with that out of the way, we can continue to wire up our references, right? So we go back to the trophy bar panel. We drag and drop items root here, and we drag and drop trophy item here. Now we need, oh, by the way, this is wrong. It shouldn't say shop items. Let's change that. We go to trophy bar manager, and this is going to be, in this case, let's call trophy items. Yes. Let's go back to Unity. And now let's add some bosses here. I think we have 4. Let's add maybe chief, orc, troll, dragon. Perfect. Let's see what happens when we click play. Okay, we can see the trophies are displayed, but there is a small problem. It's actually not in the panel, right? It's spawning also in the console panel, which is not what we want. Let's actually fix that. We go to items root. One thing we forgot actually is in the items root. You see, this is currently this size, which is not what we want. Let's actually change that to something like this. Okay, let's see if this works. Much better. Perfect. Okay, let's make this bigger. Okay, now we have the trophies. Perfect. Let's try to see if the trophies update automatically. So we sell some gold. Okay. Now we can purchase the sword. Okay. And now if we fight the Goblin Chief, we should see here instead of 0, 1. Perfect. It works. You see, now we have 1 and we have 2 votes per second. That's fantastic. Perfect. This works. Let's tackle now the console. So to do that, we need to create a new script. You can go to the scripts folder and it's going to be called Action Log Manager. Yes, we can assign it already to the action log panel. Perfect. And we can open it. All right. What do we need here? The first thing is we need a header with a reference. So we can say header reference. Okay. And we need a serialized field. We can say private text mesh pro, in this case, action log text. Yes, we will need, of course, to import using TM Pro. Yes, because we are using text mesh pro here. Okay. With that out of the way, we will need a new function. By the way, we can remove the update. We are not going to need it. We want to create a new function, which is going to be public void log. You can say a string message. Okay, and now simple as that. And now we can simply do this action log text message. Yes, that's it. We want to basically insert the message that we are passing into our text mesh pro that we reference here. One thing we want to do is in the star method, we can say if the action log text is different from null, we set it to empty, right? Because we don't want any log, right? When the game starts. Okay. Let's go back to Unity, and then inside the action log panel, let's create a new UI text, and let's call action log text. Let's make sure it spawns the whole width. Yes. By the way, one problem we are seeing here is the panel. It's spawning outside of our screen, right? So we want to put it back here, okay? And now the text, again, we fix this. It has to be like that. Perfect. And now let's say alignment center. All right. Looking good. Let's maybe set the default to this is our action log. Perfect. Before we finish with the action log, I would like to use a different font just because I feel it will look nicer. So we can basically go to dafont.com and search for console. And we can take this one, which is 100% free. So we can download it. Okay, we can go to our fonts folder. Okay, we uncompress and we paste it here. Console. Now we need to do the same thing we did in the previous videos. So we right click, create, Text Mesh Pro, font asset, SDF. SDF. Perfect. Now if we go here, yes, now we can see we have a new font in our action log panel. Great. Let's now add the different logs in our game. To do that, first we have to go to our script. Oh, by the way, this use TM Pro import is duplicated, so we can remove second one. We need to go to the game controller, to the top, and then we create a new header. We can say header. We can say UI. And we can say now serialize field private action log manager. Perfect. And now we can start adding our logs. So the first one place, for example, here, we can add the log. We can say action log manager dot log, and we can say bot weapon display name, okay, for something like that. Perfect. Let me add an underscore up front just because it looks nicer in the panel. Okay, so we can copy this, and we can say also we can create it here. We can say here when the user doesn't have enough gold, we can say not enough gold to buy purchase. Yes, perfect. Let's do the same here. When fighting the boss, we can say when the user doesn't have enough attack power, we can say not enough attack power to fight boss. Yes. When the user defeats the boss, we can say user defeated boss and earn a trophy. Yes, perfect. Let's see. Let's also add some log here. So when the user sells wood, we can say sold all wood for gold. Yes. Good. We can say maybe in parentheses. You know what? It's fine. I think it's okay like this. Perfect. And then let me see if there is another place. Okay, let's try this for now. One thing we have to do is we can go to the game. We need to go to the game controller, and you see here in the action log manager, we need to drag and drop our action log manager, which in this case is inside our action log panel, if I remember well. Yes, here. Before doing that, in the action log manager, we need to drag and drop here our action log text. Perfect. So we go to the game controller and drag and drop the action log manager here and see if this works. Okay, try to sell. Yes, sold all good for 2 gold. Okay. Oops, there is a bug here. You see, it's being concatenated everything. Let's fix it. Here is the problem. So if you go to the log function in the action log manager, you can see we say action log text dot text plus equal message. This is wrong because we want the new message to replace the old one, right? So we need to remove the plus. And then if we run the game, okay, look at that. Look at that. Let's wait until we generate some gold. Perfect. We sell it. Okay, we sold all gold. Now we purchased a weapon. Okay, great. And now we try to defeat the boss. Okay, look at that. We defeated a Goblin Chief and earned a trophy. And indeed, we can see here we have a new trophy. Perfect. All looks very nice. One thing maybe I want to do is to make the action log text a bit smaller. Let's do that. So we go here. 36 is a bit too much. Let's maybe say 24. Perfect. Yeah, I would say this is it for now. Okay, this is all for this video. And in the next one, we're going to implement a way to save the state of our game. Because at the end of the day, we are working or implementing or developing an idle game, right? Idle slash incremental. So we want to be able to save our game so we can continue in the next time we execute our game. Okay,